Tune into a podcast made by the fans for the fans. This is the Drive for Five podcast. Welcome to the Drive for Five podcast, hosted by David Lazar.
Welcome back to episode 2 of the Drive for Five podcast. My name is David, and I am here with Jared and Harris, and we are very excited to announce today that we are doing something that we have never done before. We have our followers calling in to our podcast today, and we're very excited to answer their questions and see the feedback they have on the podcast. It is August 3rd, and this week Calvin DeHaan re-signed with the New York Islanders. That's some big news that we're going to focus on. I want to start off coming to Harris. 1.95 was what the Islanders offered. Calvin DeHaan wanted $5 million. They agreed on a $3.3 million deal for 1 year. How do you feel about the signing?
For Calvin DeHaan, it's something I feel like $3.3 million is what this guy deserves. He had one good year in the NHL. And what Garceau is trying to tell Calvin DeHaan here is, if you want $5 million, go out there and prove it. We'll meet you halfway with what you wanted, what we wanted. We'll meet you at 3.3, and let's see if you can put up another good season where you're second on the team and you put up 24 and you put up 25 points. So if Calvin DeHaan could do that, again, it's only a 1-year deal, unrestricted free agent at the end of next season. So this is a prove-it deal. If DeHaan can have another good season as he did last season, he might be able to get $5 million. Will it be with the Islanders? I'm not sure, but Calvin DeHaan could prove himself, and the Islanders will be interested in giving him $5 million if he has another good year.
Yeah, you think back to Calvin DeHaan, and you think back, 3 years ago. He's been with the Islanders for a very long time, and he's always been that player, along with Brian Straight and Josh Bailey. He's in that group of Islanders who everyone hates for no reason. And he wasn't great prior to last season. He was a third-pairing defenseman. He made a lot of mistakes. It didn't seem like he had a brain a lot of the times. But what he really did well last year is he cut his mistakes. He doesn't make as many now as he did when he was younger. And he really is developing into a top 4 defenseman who plays solid defense, provides offense, can be a second unit power play guy and a second unit PK guy. He's really turning into a defenseman the Islanders need, and hopefully he can do something along the lines of a 25-point season, be a plus player. If he's playing with Dennis Seidenberg, you never know. He can have another good year. Islanders may pay him $5 million. They'll need a defenseman next offseason, or maybe he'll go to a team that needs a defenseman and he'll make 5.5. I'm wishing the best for Calvin DeHaan. I think that he's a good player who deserves a lot of money. And I just feel like, 3.3 is a good number for him. So, Jared, I just want to ask you, how do you feel Calvin DeHaan's contract affects the rest of the defenders on the team?
I don't really know how it's going to affect the other defenders. I just know how it's going to affect him as a person. I feel that he didn't get what he asked for, and after thinking about it, I was against giving him $5 million at first, but after the season he had last year, I feel like he deserved it. And actually, I'm wrong. It will affect other defensemen, because if next year he signs for a $5 million contract after playing another great season, it's going to show the other defensemen really need to step up their game if they want to get that much. And I think it was you who said it earlier in the week that the Islanders are going to regret not giving him as much money as he wanted, because he could be asking for more if he has another great season this year.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better. Calvin DeHaan, the Islanders are kind of running into some cap issues with John Tavares. He's going to get a $5 million pay raise. They have a lot coming off. They can play it well, but the Islanders are going to need to start budgeting. Calvin DeHaan may get $5 million, may not, but, we'll see how things play out. So I want to go to our first caller now. His name's AJ. He's calling from Pacheco, New York. I don't know where that is. But whatever, we're going to take his call right now, so listen in. Hey, man, what's up? Welcome to the Drive for 5 podcast. Hey, so
the Islanders had a lot of confusion regarding their roster situation for next season, and my question was, what's the potential defensive core looking like, and does Garth need to make another move to fully establish it?
Okay, great question. For those of you who couldn't hear, the question was, what does the Islanders' defensive core look like next year, and is it strong enough, and does Garth Snow need to make another move? So I'll take a stab at it, then you guys can answer. So when I think of that question, I immediately think of Dennis Seidenberg, Adam Pelech, Ryan Pulock. Those are three defensemen who aren't terrific. I know you guys love Ryan Pulock, but he's inexperienced. He's young. I know Adam Pelech just got a deal, but again, he's inexperienced. And Dennis Seidenberg's 36 years old. The Islanders have a weak defensive unit right now, and I would love a move to address it. They just traded Travis Hamonic, so I don't see them doing anything. They obviously feel like the defensive core is good enough that they could afford to trade Travis Hamonic. And I think Garth Snow's done for the offseason. I really do feel that. So the defensive core may be a weakness. If Johnny Boychuk gets injured again, they'll frankly be screwed. But hopefully injuries go our way, and the Islanders can use their goaltending and newly acquired offensive powerhouse in Jordan Eberle to, shore up some of their liabilities. So, Jared, I'm coming to you. How do you feel about AJ's question?
I like the question, and quite frankly, it's an easy but hard question to answer. From what I'm going to say, it's along the lines of, we're getting there. It's not really deep yet. You have players like Boychuk and Leddy, even DeHaan, who if he has another great season, will be up there as a solid defender. But as you get towards the bottom, like you said, with Seidenberg and Pulock, you start to get a little risky and a little questionable, and it's not as deep as you want it to go. And sadly, you're right. Garth Snow is probably done for this offseason. But, everything that a fan thinks is the opposite of Garth Snow. So what we want probably won't happen because everyone thinks opposite of Garth Snow.
AJ, you have anything else to say? Sorry, the computer and phone aren't meshing too well. But besides that, there's a little bit of a lag, but hopefully I'll edit it and get it all settled in. But you have anything else to say?
Just a quick follow-up. Is DeHaan a top 4 guy?
All right, great question.
Our defensive core is that weak.
Yeah, DeHaan's definitely a top 4 guy. He was a top 4 guy last year. He was playing with Dennis Seidenberg, which actually was their best pairing statistically last year. Pretty crazy to think, but in all aspects, Calvin DeHaan and Dennis Seidenberg was the best Islanders line pairing for defensemen. Pretty crazy. But Calvin DeHaan will play with either Dennis Seidenberg or Ryan Pulock, and he'll be in a top 4 role. He'll play top 4 minutes, and you have Boychuk and Leddy in the top 2. That's known. The rest are kind of equal, but Calvin DeHaan's the third best defenseman on the team for the time being until Ryan Pulock can prove himself. So right now, I would even say he's a top 3 defenseman, as crazy as that seems. And he's getting paid like it. $3 million is a good amount, and that's the third most on the team. I think it's pretty simple. I think he's a top 3 defenseman, as crazy as that is.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, thanks so much for calling. We really appreciate it.
Anytime, guys.
See ya.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was AJ, and we have another caller lined up. His name is, let me check. He's calling right now. His name's Johnny. And let's call him right now.
Hello?
Hey, Johnny, what's up?
How you doing?
We're doing well. Welcome to the podcast. You have any questions for us?
Yeah, I just want to say thanks so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks so much for coming on. We really do appreciate it more than you think.
I just had a couple questions about the top 6. Is that we've seen so many problems over the years with the Islanders have made it to the playoffs, and then you go into the second round like 2 years ago, Hedman completely shut down Tavares. You don't have that second line center to give us that depth to keep pushing in the playoffs, and that's why I think that if we don't, if Nelson doesn't step up, like who do we put there? Is it Barzal? Is it Boulier? Is it, maybe even Suzuki?
All right, well, great question. For those of you who didn't hear, the question was the Islanders' top six is pretty weak. They don't really have that second-line center, and it's cost them in the Tampa Bay Islanders series. When Tampa Bay was able to shut down John Tavares, the Islanders had nothing. So for this year, it looks like Brock Nelson or Matty Barzal will fill in that second-line role. I'm not very thrilled about it. I think the Islanders should have gone out and done everything they could have to acquire either Alex Galchenyuk or Matt Duchene. I know they really tried to get Duchene, but, Sakic wasn't budging. So I do think the Islanders' top six is a liability. I think that Hosang may not have the amazing year that everyone thinks he will. And from what I'm seeing right now, I'm thinking it's going to be Matty Barzal. Brock Nelson isn't a good enough player to consistently score, a point every 2 games, a point, a goal every 3-4 games and get up to that 30-goal mark. But it's something the Islanders have had a problem with ever since Frans Nielsen left. So I'm going to come to Harris. How do you feel about the Islanders' top 6 forward unit, especially the second-line center position?
It's going to be a battle in training camp. It's either going to be Brock Nelson or Matt Barzal. And for the past year, it's been inconsistent with Brock Nelson bouncing around with like a guy like Ryan Strome, who is now gone, obviously. But I think Matt Barzal needs to step up and really stand out here in training camp. Made the team out of training camp last year. Obviously, we all know it did not go well under Jack Capuano. But, when he got back down to Seattle in the World Juniors, he had a lot of success. Scored 79 points for a championship team, and we know of his international success in the World Junior Championships. It's a guy with a lot of outside NHL experience that could bring something to this team. A lot of energy, fast pace, and he could really set up some good wingers. He can make guys like Andrew Ladd better. He can make Hosang better. He can make guys around him better, unlike Brock Nelson, who, in my opinion, is just a pure goal scorer. So I believe Matt Barzal will help the Islanders fill their second-line center void and will help their top 6 be a lot better.
Yeah, amazing answer. The one concern I have as a follow-up, Anthony Beauvillier, everyone thought he was great last year, but you look at the score sheet. He really wasn't great. He was a rookie. Rookies take a long time to develop. I'm a little concerned with Barzal just getting thrown right into a top 6 role and him maybe not. You're expecting what out of a second-line center on the Islanders, playing with Hosang, playing with Andrew Ladd, who's getting paid $6 million? You're expecting 50 points, 40 points. Can he get that in a full season? I think he can, but there's a chance he doesn't, and if he doesn't, that could really hurt the Islanders. If it takes a while to, get started, the Islanders have a slow start to the season, may not be the best news, but I have full faith in Matty Barzal, who's a great pick. We got him in Beauvillier for Griffin Reinhart. What a steal by Garth Snow, his best move ever as a GM, in my opinion. But again, Johnny, we all agree it's going to be Matt Barzal. We just aren't very confident about how great he'll do. So you have anything else you want to add?
Yeah, the second question is, with Eberle being added, and then you have Barzal, do you switch them between Tavares and Eberle if there's any, let's say Eberle isn't doing great with Tavares, or Barzal is not, producing the way they want him to? Do you give Barzal that pressure to go on the first line, or Hosang that pressure to go on the first line with Tavares if Eberle really isn't doing well? I'm saying, who do they put as a reliever if Eberle is not doing well?
Okay. Again, the question was, I'm sorry, the phone isn't doing too well. I'm very sorry about that. But the question was, if Eberle has a bad start to the season, just like Andrew Ladd had last year when he was put with John Tavares, the question is, how are the lines going to, form? Last year it was Anders Lee who stepped up and was amazing. He took over Andrew Ladd's role. Josh Bailey slid in. It was the best first line the Islanders have had in years. It really was. It was a great first line. And if Eberle doesn't do great next year, the question is, will Doug Waite shake up the lines? Could Barzal move up from the second-line center to a first-line winger if he isn't doing too well at center? Will then Brock Nelson slide up? How will the lines be shaken up? My answer to that is, I think Eberle... I'm in the minority in thinking this, but I don't think Eberle should be playing with John Tavares. The whole thing with their friendship is overrated. They haven't been friends in freaking 10 years. They didn't invite him to his wedding. Eberle didn't invite Tavares to his wedding. They're not great friends. They did well in the juniors together. That's not a reason to play two people together. When you had an amazing first line last year in Anders Lee, Josh Bailey, and John Tavares, you keep that. Josh Bailey had a breakout year. He was only good with Tavares. You keep that line together, in my opinion. Eberle should be playing with Matty Barzal and Josh Hosang. I think that creates another great line. And then you got Brock Nelson on the third line. That sets up your lines much better than putting Eberle up there, Bailey on the second line. I just feel like having those two top lines is great, and I don't want to see changes. I want to see Eberle with Barzal right off the start. Jared, how do you feel about that?
Honestly, I couldn't have said it better myself. I agree with what you said. The first line last year was amazing, and they really need to keep that together with Lee and Bailey on the wings, even though I hate Bailey, have for a long time, probably always will. Bailey did have a good season last year, and if he's not with Tavares, he won't have a good season. It's as easy as that to say. Now, I agree, Eberle should be on the second line with Barzal and Hosang, and I think with those three together, you can have two solid top lines, and you can have a great season on the Islanders this year.
Yeah, I mean, what you said is perfect. It's basically summing up what I said. Those two top lines are great, and I really like that. That creates a good second line, and it really makes everything kind of flow together. I don't like Josh Bailey playing away from John Tavares. He's not as good. He's not as good a player. Why ruin something that works? Why ruin Josh Bailey's success? So that's our take on it. Johnny, you have anything else you want to say?
Yeah, I just have one last question concerning the power play. Now, do you put Lee Tavares Eberle? Now, let's just say you do that. And then, does Bailey... I remember last year Strome played as a defenseman on the power play. Strome's gone now. Do you put Bailey there and Leddy? And if you do that, do you put Polak in a second-line power play? Did you put Bailey on that second-line power play?
Okay, great question. The question was, the power play, for those of you who forgot, Ryan Strome was on the top line power play for the entire season. I mean, we forget that. So the Islanders have a hole in their power play. They need... Ryan Strome played right D on the power play. He played the point with Nick Leddy. So the question was, who's going to take his spot? I think it's a great question, by the way. I never even thought about that. So the power play is going to look different next year. I think it's going to be Eberle on the first-line power play, and I think Bailey may move into a point slot. I'm not really sure, though. Bailey's a good puck mover, good passer. I could see that happening. That's what I see Doug Waite doing. But what I would love to see is get Johnny Boychuk out there. You're paying him $6 million a year for a shot. Get him on the power play. Get Pulock on the power play. Get Leddy on the power play. And I don't get why teams are so hesitant to play 2D on a power play now. But it's mind-boggling to me. The Islanders do better when they have Leddy and Boychuk on the power play. They'll do better when they have Pulock on the power play. I want to see two defensemen. So that's my say on it. I'd love to see Pulock be the second pair power play guy. I'd love to see Boychuk on the first pair. And then playing with Pulock, you may have either DeHaan or you may have a forward like Brock Nelson. I don't know. That's what I could see. That's what I could see it happening. But that's probably not what's going to happen. You're going to have Eberle on the first-line power play. That's what it's going to be because, Jordan Eberle, he's amazing according to everyone. So, Jared, I'm coming to you. How do you feel about the question? How do you feel the power play is going to tune up next year?
I could only hope the power play can get better. We've never had really a good power play, and it can only get better from what it's been in the past. But I agree with you. Eberle's probably going to be on the power play, that first-line power play, and it's easy as that to say. And I just hope they can show up next year on the power play. and the penalty kill, because every year it's either one or the other, and I hope this year it's both.
Well said. Johnny, you got anything else for us?
Yeah, just one last question. So the Islanders traded Hamonic to Calgary, and they got picks in exchange. And now, what they have now, they're going to run with, well, what I think they're going to run with is Wojciech Leddy, Seidenberg, DeHaan, Pelech, and Polak. Now, everyone's putting so much faith in Pelech. He signed a deal. And I look at his plus minus, it's not that great. And he didn't play that many minutes. So, if he's supposed to play this bigger role when you still have Hickey or Seidenberg scratched, if Pelech doesn't live up to expectations, what will the Islanders do with their G4?
First of all, I just want to say, we came into this podcast saying we'd have nothing to talk about, and you come in and you ask 4 amazing questions that will set up the rest of the show. Thank you so much, by the way, because these questions are amazing. I mean, I never would have thought to talk about this stuff, so thanks so much. The question was... Yeah. The question was, Adam Pelech just got this deal. He got 4 years, $6.4 million deal, and he has big expectations next year to play with Ryan Pulock and stabilize into a, top 6 role. The question was, if Pelech sucks just like he kind of did last year with a bad plus-minus, the question is, what will happen? I think that Hickey will slide back in. Hickey won't be playing forward next year. People think he is, but he won't be. Hickey's going to be that 7th D, and I think that Hickey will slide in, provide some experience to play with Ryan Pulock, and, he has the clutch factor. When we did our All-Islanders rankings, clutch factor was a big thing. Hickey always is amazing on the clutch factor just because he's so clutch. He always gives big goals. So if Adam Pelech has a bad start to the season, has a bad plus-minus, bad Corsi, playing with Ryan Pulock, Thomas Hickey will slide in, and it'll be like nothing happened. Harris, how do you feel about Adam Pelech's role, and what could happen if he doesn't do great?
Yeah, Adam Pelech signs this nice contract, $1.6 million, team friendly. If he does not do that well, and he's a young guy, he's made a lot of mistakes in his first 2 seasons with the big club. Hickey could definitely slide in there. He provides some experience. Is for his size, he's a very physical guy in the playoffs. Enough with him playing forward, it's ridiculous. Anyways, Hickey and Scott Mayfield can always step in. And Pelech can sit and learn, because this is also, we're all forgetting, Pelech is a young guy too. He's been in Bridgeport for quite a while now, and he's been in the system, so he needs a lot of learning experience. And if you could pair him with a guy like Seidenberg, could help him out with his plus minus. And if that doesn't work, well, he learns from some of the veteran guys. So if Adam Pelech doesn't do well, we got a good amount of depth, can step in, and can teach this guy what it's like to be an everyday defenseman.
Yep, couldn't have said it better. $1.6 million isn't a lot. That you could pay a 7th defenseman that. So if he has a bad start to the season, you bench him. No big deal. They have 8 defensemen, so someone will step in. They'll always have someone to step in. And if there's injuries, if Pelech is forced to play a big role, then Devin Tays maybe sign Brian Straight, something. I don't know. Those are my thoughts. So, Johnny, you have any other questions?
No, that's it for me. That's the luck for you guys in the future. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. Have a good night.
You too. Good night.
So that was Johnny. He had some amazing questions, and we're very happy that we could take 2 callers. We're actually already at 25 minutes, so we have 2 other things we want to talk about, and I think we're done with callers. It went so well. We're going to keep on doing this in the future. We're going to keep having callers. I'm going to get the phone situation worked out. I'm not sure if the listeners can hear what the phone conversation was. I know I'm fine. I'm the one who was taking the calls, but Jared and Harris may not have been fine. We'll call in and Skype. We'll work it out. There's a first time for everything. Now that we're not the All Islanders podcast, we have ultimate freedom. We're trying everything. We're getting players on. It's going to be great for this podcast. We're taking a new approach, and fans like Johnny and AJ can call in, get their questions answered, and, it's great for everyone. So I want to talk about one thing that's pretty crazy. The Islanders have one game on NBC Network this year. Last year they had upwards of 5, I think. I'm not sure the exact number, but they had a good amount. They had Islanders-Rangers on Wednesday Night Rivalry. They had an amazing, this was my favorite game, they had an Islanders-Hurricane game on. The Islanders got whooped, absolutely whooped, and on the top of the screen they kept saying, Islanders versus Hurricanes, Nassau Coliseum. And I posted a picture of it on the account. It was very funny, and that was JF Berube's, that was his tombstone, basically. He's done now. Harris Eisenberg was at that game, so we can talk about his nightmare at that game later, because that was a fun one. But right now I want to go to Jared. You went on a very nice rant on the All Islanders podcast when the Islanders got looked over by the Rangers and Sabres for the, remember the Stadium Series game? You were pissed off about that. How do you feel about this? Is it similar? Are you more pissed off? Are you less pissed off? How do you feel about the Islanders only getting one game on NBC this year?
Before I answer that, the Islanders are not the New York team that everyone likes to look at. It's the Rangers, America's hockey team. Look, we're the second team in New York, and that's what it's always going to be. We're going to get looked over. I've kind of come to terms with that. Excuse me. With the NBC thing, it's more of, we didn't make the playoffs last year. We made the playoffs the year before. We made the second round. And I think that had a big factor to do with why we had so many games and why we have so little games this year. And I'm not really upset with it. I think it's just based off their play, how they played last year. And if they want to get more games on NBC, they got to play better.
Yep. So obviously you're not as mad as the when the Islanders didn't get the Winter Classic. I think that's reasonable. But I am kind of annoyed. The Islanders-Rangers rivalry is, in my opinion, one of the best in hockey. It really is. I think it's top 3. And it's a shame that the Islanders didn't get a Wednesday night rivalry game when you're going to see, I guarantee you, I didn't look at the schedule, there's going to be Flyers against, Sabres. It's going to be a Flyers game because NBC owns the Flyers, which is pretty interesting. So the Flyers get about 25 games on NBC every year. So you're going to have a Flyers, shitty team. But sorry for my language, but the Islanders got no games, and it's something we have to accept. The Islanders keep getting crapped on, and I want to go to Harris now. The Islanders get crapped on every year, it seems like. Is this any different?
Look, obviously we know the Islanders are kind of like a backwheel of the Rangers here in New York, and they get overlooked a lot by the NHL. Obviously, it's all about ratings, and there's one game, Islanders in Montreal, and it's in Montreal. So I don't even know how that's going to get any ratings, but I believe, there's going to be things that'll trickle down to be on NBCSN. Like I saw, early in the season, there's an Islander-Ranger game on a Saturday afternoon at 1 o'clock. I can't see how they wouldn't fit that in. Because, games do trickle down and do end up becoming on national television. So an Islander-Ranger game at 1 o'clock on a Saturday should be nationally televised. And that's just poor scheduling by the NHL. It's the best rivalry in hockey. Obviously, it's all about ratings, and I can't see how the Islanders and Rangers wouldn't be on NBCSN for a game. So I believe things will trickle down, but as of now, it's kind of a shame that the Islanders, the Islanders are a good team, and the fact that they can't get any games on a nationally televised network is kind of a shame.
Yeah, it sucks. It really does. I would have loved to have them in the Winter Classic. I know a lot of the writers would have gone on DriveFor5.blog. We would have been very excited to go to that, but Buffalo Sabres got chosen. We would have loved to go see Doc Emrick, go listen to some games of Doc Emrick, but teams like the Flyers and even the Avalanche, they're getting more games than us. It's really unfortunate, but, there's got to be a time where you're used to it, and I think I'm used to it by now. The Islanders were terrible last year. Somehow they managed to get the same amount of points as the Stanley Cup Nashville Predators. I don't know how that happened. The Islanders quietly had a good year in the 9 seed, considering they were the worst team in the league, in January. But, Islanders and national TV don't seem to mix well. And that seems to be, something that's been happening for years. So I think with that, we're at 30 minutes. Going to take a moment to talk about our site and our Instagram account, and then we're going to end it. So I just want to talk about our Instagram account. We are planning a big contest with all the other major Instagram accounts on, Instagram. We'll be ranking players, so that will be cool. We'll get that out soon. We have the Drive for 5 contest. You must be following us, and all you got to do is post a video. You will get shouted out by us in Islanders Dynasty. Over 4,000 followers, and you'll get a bunch of followers. When we had the All Islanders contest, the accounts that would win would get, 300 new followers. Everyone enter that. We got a Twitter, Drive45_. There's an underscore at the end. We're posting great stuff on there, even a little bit of politics, so tune into that. And it'll be really fun on the Twitter. So with that, our site is great. We just started up. I'm going to post about that more on the Instagram. And our podcast obviously is great. When all the writers, as you know, left All Islanders, we didn't think it'd be going this great, but we've really built up right where we left off, and we're doing better in our opinion. So thank you so much for tuning in to episode 2, where we featured callers for the very first time. Stay tuned to episode 3, 4, 5. We're going to get players, we're going to do more callers, and we're going to have new writers on. So thank you so much, Islanders fans, for listening, and have a great night.
Thank you for listening to the Drive for 5 podcast. And as always, let's go Islanders!